Thank you so much. Great. Oh, thank you for talking about barriers, because now I'm going to talk about ways to talk about them. I'm Meg Riley, I'm autistic and I'm disabled. I work in the arts, mainly making museums and galleries more accessible. So changing the way we do programs and the way we set up systems so that more disabled people can have access to them. So I'm going to talk through a few ways of, would you flick to the next one? Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to talk through a few ways of talking about disability. Firstly, I just want to go through some definitions. So for this, I usually separate impairment and disability because disability is a very, very large concept and has lots of different definitions. When we talk about impairments, we're talking about a medical condition or a condition of your body-mind. And then when we talk about disability, people have many different ways of defining it, but the way that I define it is the results of the interaction of a person with impairment and societal barriers. That has a little asterisk by it because it refers back to one of the models I'm going to talk about. So our models are ways of viewing disabilities. Next one. Thank you. So we try to be conscious of these models so that we can examine the thoughts behind different concepts, choices and actions. There are four main models that I'm going to talk through: medical, social, charity and affirmative. There are many more ways of talking about disability, and this is constantly evolving, and I know a lot of you already know quite a bit about this and have a lot more to contribute. But I will go through the two, medical and social first, which end up being polar opposites sometimes. So the medical model. I'm not talking about the medical system, which we need. The medical model is where we focus on the medical impairments of individuals. The problem and the fault is with the disabled person and their impairment. If someone can't enter your building because they use a wheelchair, we should try to fix their ability to climb stairs. And if we can't fix the impairment, we should segregate them so that they can go to other buildings. This ends up with us going to other schools, other places to socialise. And you see this in the media a lot, where people talk about being wheelchair bound, or if we suffer from autism, and other less favourable ways of talking about it. This has been like a primary way of talking. Hello. This has been the primary way of talking about disability for a really long time, and we see it everywhere. But on the other hand, we have the social model, which is developed by disabled people and more for us. In the social model, the fault is with inaccessible systems. So if we can't get into a building, as with the example that I just used, we need to change the building. In the social model, we work on making sure that we have ramp access to a building instead of making sure that, like under the medical model, someone could just magically climb stairs. The social model is what I use to empower access and inclusion. I like the social model more because you can do things with it. You can make more, you can create more access and inclusion by thinking in this framework than you can in the medical model, which is punitive and results in segregation. So I realise I'm talking very quickly. I'm trying to cram all of my special interest knowledge into a very tiny amount of time. If nothing else, and you walk away from this with the medical and social model, that's fine. But I would also like to talk about two others that crop up a bit. There's also the charity model. In the charity model, disabled people are vulnerable. We need care at all times. Only non-disabled people can provide that care. It assumes that disability is a tragedy, and access work, which we do under this system, is seen as a favour. Rather than a necessity and a basic human right. Obviously, I don't like this, but again, you see it crop up in the media a lot. You even see it when you work at access and inclusion with people talking about the charitable way that they give access to someone rather than just providing what everyone else already gets, their needs met. And then also we have the affirmative model, sometimes radical model. This asserts that disability is a part of natural diversity. So even if everything under the social model were taken care of, if all of our accommodations were all set up and great and society was very accessible, we would still be disabled and that would be a positive part of our identities. This, again, is developed by disabled people. And while I use the social model in my work, and we're talking about access and inclusion, I also believe in the affirmative model, because I do believe that disabled people are a natural part of diversity. We have a right to be here as much as anyone else does. And it's not a bad thing to talk about it. So I guess I want to talk about what that means for being neurodivergent. Oh, sorry, I'll do a little recap on them first before we go through. No, it's okay. I've mucked myself up. Could we go back to the recap one? Thank you. So the 4 ones I talked about: the medical model, where disabled people are broken and we have to fix or segregate them. The social model, where the world is inaccessible and disability is defined by the interaction of people with impairments with inaccessible systems. The charity model, where disabled people are tragic and we must save them. And the affirmative model, where disability is a natural part of diversity. Thank you. So what does this mean for autism and other kinds of neurodivergence? Different autistic people might define themselves as disabled or not. That's up to them. That's fine. If you look at the social model and how we define disability with a body-mind condition interacting with an inaccessible environment, you will see that many environments are inaccessible to us because of the way our body minds are set up. The world is largely made to cater to neurotypical, non-disabled people. Many, as you know, many of us have comorbidities like connective tissue disorders, autoimmune disorders. Many of us are also physically disabled anyway. So when we talk about access, we are talking about including autistic people, other neurodivergent people, and access measures like the easy example of a ramp, which I think everyone knows about as an access measure. But access measures can be expanded to include neurodivergence. We can make better environments. We can make better systems. That's what I would like to work towards. Thanks.